With reaction to all of tonight's breaking news is former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Liz Cheney. Liz, great to see you.
Hey, Monica, great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
I want to start first by getting your reaction to something the president said earlier today in a presser. He was talking about the enhanced interrogation techniques used by the Bush-Cheney administration after 9/11. Take a listen.
Even before I came into office, I was very clear that in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, we did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right, but we tortured some folks. We did some things that were contrary to our values.
He used the word torture there, Liz. Your response?
You know, Monica, this president is an utter disgrace. You know, he's got a situation where, as your last two reports showed, you've got crises erupting around the world, and he is expending more time, more energy, more passion, more aggressive activity in targeting and going after patriots, heroes, CIA officers and others who kept us safe after 9/11. He's lying about what they did. He's slandering them. He went to Cairo and did it in 2009. Today, he did it from the podium of the Oval Office. It's a disgrace. It's despicable.
Liz, do you think that he is invoking what the Bush-Cheney administration did after 9/11 because his plate is now full of cascading scandals and international crises, in large part a direct result of his immediate weakness as commander-in-chief, and so he's going back to trying to fight battles from the early 2000s?
Well, absolutely, Monica. I mean, he really would like to change the subject. You know, but that press conference today should be watched in its entirety because it was an amazing and stunning display of a president, a leader, commander-in-chief, who seems to take no responsibility whatsoever for anything that's happened on his watch. And I do just want to say his comments about the enhanced interrogation program were focused on this report that is now apparently going to be released at some point, a Democratic written report from the Senate Intelligence Committee. And it's very important for people to know that the way that report was done was essentially a star chamber. The people who were involved in the program were not interviewed. It's a report that was written to prove a point, and it's a report that's going to slander people. The people involved, the CIA officials who were in part of the program, Catherine Herridge has reported earlier tonight, were not even allowed to read the report, and they were not interviewed about the program. So it's a disgrace. The President of the United States is now leading the nation at a moment when the threat from terror is growing across the world, when he's done absolutely nothing about it, and frankly seems not to understand that he's responsible, that he is leading the United States, that the United States needs to lead the world, and yet he just sort of sits back. And I think his tagline today from that press conference was, hey, you know what, we try. We try. Well, that isn't good enough when the United States is under the threat that we're facing today.
Yeah, it's really pathetic. Liz, I also want to get your reaction to something that dovetails with what we're talking about. The Senate was taking a look at the enhanced interrogation techniques, and now we learn that the CIA hacked into Senate computers and was actually spying on the U.S. Senate as they were going through all of this. This is, to me, is an outrageous abuse of power. And yet, right now, we only have two Democrats on record, Senators Udall and Heinrich. Udall is facing a tough re-election battle, which is probably why he's coming out. But they're asking for the resignation of the CIA Director, John Brennan. They're the only two. Where is everybody else on this? The CIA has been spying on American citizens here at home, the U.S. Senate, and yet we get crickets. You ought to know better than anybody that if this were going down during the Bush-Cheney years, that they would have impeachment proceedings underway already.
Well, you know, look, if any of the multitude of things that this president has been responsible for, you know, in large part, completely trampling on the constitutional rights of Americans, you know, and when I think about the trampling that he's done on our Constitution, it has to do with using the IRS to target political enemies. You saw that the CIA Director Brennan took responsibility, apologized. We don't know the full extent of exactly what happened there. But again, I think that there's an awful lot of obfuscation.
Is that enough to have the CIA director just say, whoops, our bad, we spied on American citizens, we spied on the U.S.
you know,
Senate,
I think
sorry.
what we need to do is, no, Monica, I mean, you know, we've got to go back and look at the statute. The kind of review that went on, as I understand it, could have been authorized by the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence. We don't know if that happened. We just don't know the details of exactly what was going on. We do know, though, that this was happening at a time when classified material, classified information had gotten into the hands of Senate staffers, then they weren't supposed to have it. And we also know it was happening at a time when the democratically led staff was writing a report that is very focused on slandering the officials who kept us safe. So it's part of a much, much larger picture. And I think we've got to be careful about exactly what happened and condemning Brennan on that particular point until we have all the facts and we know exactly what's happened
Well,
there.
I agree with you, Liz. The way it looks now, though, either the CIA director blatantly lied or he was oblivious to the lawlessness going on in his own agency. So either way, this is very bad for him and for this administration. Liz, always great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Great to be with you.
You bet.